What's up, everybody? How you doing this morning? If you are watching live, it is January 11th. About 7 or so here, 7:10 on the West Coast. Ship it. That's what we're going to talk about today. Shipping it. What does that mean? Shipping it. We're not talking about boats, by the way. we're not talking about packages. We are not talking about mail. We're not talking about sending your kids off to college. Although maybe in some ways that could be the case, but if you're watching on the replay, I appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, Instagram TV, IGTV, wherever you may be watching this particular video at, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to do so. Every day that I jump on here, Facebook Live or Instagram Live or YouTube Live, my goal is just to share a message and an idea that would help you in some way. 27, 28 years as an entrepreneur. If this is the first time you've come across my videos, my name is Darrell Evans. Again, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, a father, a son, a brother, friend, an employee. I've done a little bit of things in my life. I had some wins, had some losses, and I've just made it a mission of mine now to start sharing this message. Big follower of a guy by the name of Brendon Burchard, and he's got a book called The Millionaire Messenger. And as I think about this idea, not just the idea of millionaire from the money standpoint, but just the simple idea that today we have this ability with technology, with a smartphone and a simple $20 stand to share a message that could help someone. And so my goal when I turn this camera on every single day is just to help one person. It turns out that more than one person seems to be enjoying these messages. So I really appreciate you. So if you're one of those people that are enjoying these messages, please let me know with a heart or comment, something below, share it with your friends and family. But let's jump into today's message, today's idea, today's thought. And I started thinking about meetings with companies that I've been having so far this year in 2019, really last 8-9 years in my company. I think about all the networking events I've been to, all the business folks that I've met, either mentored, coached, or collaborated with. And I think there's this one overarching topic that stops a lot of us. And so for those of you that are not in the entrepreneurial space, in the digital marketing space, you're not running your own business, please do not turn this video off. This is for you if you're a parent. This is for you if you're studying in school. This is for you if you are wanting to improve your career. This applies in every area of life. If you're chasing a health and fitness goal right now, the message that I want you to kind of spend some time with me on today is not my message, although I have a particular slant on this message, but the thought that came to mind this morning, as I often do when I wake up, I look for something for a theme for my day. And the theme today actually came from Steve Jobs. And so Steve Jobs has a quote. It's all of 3 words. And it says, real artists ship. Real artists ship. And if you're not from the software world, let me tell you what that means. I'm not a software developer. I'm not a programmer. Obviously, I'm a heavy user of software in my world of digital marketing and being an entrepreneur now I've been using technology quite heavily now since 2002. But what Steve is saying is real artists ship. That means they produce things. They get things out the door. They put their ideas into motion. They get their products in people's hands. They are able to produce that book that they've been thinking about writing for a long time. They've created the podcast that they wanted to do. They are shooting videos for their business. They are starting the business. The business actually goes from idea to open doors. They file the corporation. They set up the Facebook account. They sign up and enroll in college. They pay for the classes. They attend the classes. What Steve is talking about, in my opinion, is that we oftentimes just get caught up in idea mode, or I'd like to mode, or I should do XYZ mode, and we never ship. We never ship, right? And so I want to talk about 3 quick things that I think come up in my mind, 3 reasons I think that stop people from shipping their ideas. They stop shipping their product. They stop growing their business. They stop advancing their career. They stop chasing their dreams. And in some cases, they stop their children from chasing their dreams. They stop their children from having a wider perspective of what's possible. And as a parent, I've had to fight this myself, having kids now, now heading late 20s down to 14. Think about all the times that I may have done some of this myself, because again, let's talk about number one. The first reason why many of us don't ship our product, don't ship our idea, don't ship ourselves into the next stage of our life's adventure is because we're afraid to fail. We're afraid to fail. We're afraid to leave our comfort zone and have something go wrong. And the funny thing is, I actually tweeted this a little earlier. If you're not following me on Twitter, if you're on Twitter, at Mr. Darrell Evans. Don't ask me why it's Mr. It's not because I'm cool. It's because I'm not the only Darrell Evans in the world. I just didn't get there first. And so, I made a comment there on Twitter that when you're chasing your dream, or when you're stepping into a place that you feel like you have a calling, or there's something driving you, a purpose, you've got to be comfortable having meetings with disappointment. Like in any area of your life, you've got to become comfortable having meetings with disappointment. I mean, I'm sitting at a table right now, right across from me. I don't have enough chairs at my table for disappointment in my life, but I continue going. So this first thing is this fear of failure. The second one is perfectionism. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. There are a lot of things wrong in the world today. There are a lot of things wrong in your workplace today, in your life today, in your health today. If everything had to be perfect, there would be no progress. I have a saying, and I've been saying it for years, and obviously I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and sometimes entrepreneurs are faced with having to make 500 decisions, in a month, a year, a couple, and they get paralyzed because they want everything to be perfect. And I say that perfect is the enemy of done. Perfect is the enemy of done. It doesn't mean to send out sloppy work. It doesn't mean to just put a 50% effort in. It doesn't mean don't give 100%, but don't give 100% and then rewrite the whole program, or rewrite the whole script, or rewrite the whole whatever it is. Just get it out there, right? Perfectionism is the enemy of progress. Perfect is the enemy of done. Okay, so fear of failure is one. You got to deal with that emotion, right? And by the way, let's just be clear about it. Fear, in most cases, I mean, sure, there are things that are dangerous and can kill you, and there absolutely are. But obviously take the right protections. But this fear is just it's our own barrier in our mind for stepping into a place that says, I'm not comfortable here. I'm not comfortable here, right? But you've got to become comfortable, and you've got to be okay having meetings with disappointment, okay? Second thing is this idea that you got to be perfect. It's all got to be perfect. Right now, I'm sure you're watching this video. There's a large chance you're watching this video on a mobile device. Large chance you're watching this video on a mobile device. And I want you to think about the very first mobile device you picked up that allowed you to watch video, for example. We're going to call them a smartphone for right now. We're not going to call them cell phones because it's like that's not the right word today. It's a smartphone. How many times has that smartphone been updated? How many times has the software on your computer been updated? How many times have you had to run updates in your life? That's the part of the process, right? Success and progress is a part of the process. Updates are a part of that process. So the third thing, and I think is the one that stops us most, I think even beyond failure, I think most people could identify that if someone else has done the thing that you're trying to do, right? A lot of times the easiest way to get beyond failure, or the fear of failure, is to identify someone else who's done that thing you want to do. And then you realize that there is a path. It isn't that you're going to fail necessarily. You can sort of see that there is a path, right? But the last thing that I want to touch on is what I think hurts us more at our core. It hurts us here in the heart. And that is the fear of judgment or ridicule. The fear of judgment and ridicule, I think, stops more of us from shipping our ideas, our thoughts, our creativity. It's the fear of what our friends might say, our family might say, our loved ones might say. And that fear of ridicule and fear of judgment will keep you disappointed more so than the failure or disappointment of having an outcome that didn't meet your end goal. There are several people in the world. There are more people that I'm going to name today. But if you want to Google into these people, you will know them, or you may know many of these people off the top, and you may know some of their story. But I would encourage you to just don't take my word for it. Go research how and what the story really looked like. Because on one side of it, you know the story that is being publicized on the success side, but you don't know what it took to get there. There's, if you've ever eaten fried chicken at a place called KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken is what it was originally called. When I was a kid, it was called Kentucky Fried Chicken. I still call it Kentucky Fried Chicken. They call it KFC now for some reason. PepsiCo bought it, so they changed the name, make it slick. Colonel Sanders, story is something around 65. He decided, hey, this retirement check thing ain't hitting on nothing, right? This retirement check, Social Security check ain't hitting on nothing, man. I got to do something. I know how to cook some chicken. Went out banging on doors. Turned down, turned down, turned down. All of a sudden, KFC. Abe Lincoln, one of the most successful presidents in the history of our country. If you're watching this outside the United States, Abe Lincoln, one of the most successful presidents in the history of our country, and lost over and over and over again in elections prior to presidency, of course. But he had plenty of times where he failed to defeat in elections, but ultimately became president. Thomas Edison, you know the story, light bulb. I think, I don't know what the total number is. I don't think anybody truly knows the total number of times he attempted to create the light bulb. Just didn't work out. Michael Jordan talks about a famous NBA, probably number one, number two, depending on what camp you sit at, talks about how many times he has failed when he took the last shot of the game. Most people don't even know that Michael Jordan wasn't even considered a great player in high school. I mean, so this idea of fear of ridicule, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being perfect, right? If Michael Jordan had to be perfect, he'd have stopped shooting. I'm a big Kobe fan. I grew up, Laker fan. I'm still a Laker fan. Kobe Bryant. If you're afraid to miss the shot, you'll never become great. You have to be willing to take the shot, right? Other people, Babe Ruth, baseball player. I played baseball growing up as well. Babe Ruth. I remember hearing about Babe Ruth. Now, by the way, most of you, if you're younger, you ain't gonna know anything about Babe Ruth because he played back in the 20s, I think, maybe 30s. Back then, he was kind of the home run king. Everybody knew him for the number of home runs he hit, but not many people knew that he also led the league in strikeouts. That means he led the league in swinging 3 times and missing and walking his behind back to the dugout. He led the league in strikeouts, but he's known as the home run guy. And that's because he swung for the fences every time he went to bat, right? But he was willing to face failure for his ultimate goal, which was to hit the ball out of the park, okay? Denzel Washington. I heard a story about Denzel Washington many, many years ago that he was laughed off the stage at one of the most prestigious stages in the acting world back when he was coming up in the world of acting. Hey, Marvon, I see you, brother. Thanks for watching. Denzel was laughed off of a stage early in his career. And what was ironic was some 30 years later, he's back on that same stage receiving one of the most prestigious awards in all of acting. If he wasn't willing to come back and face he wanted to become an actor. He goes to this stage, he goes on one of the most prestigious stages and gets laughed off the stage. He just ridiculed from that stage. But today, Denzel is one of the most successful actors, one of the best actors ever lived. J.K. Rowling, I'm not even a fan of the Potter series books, the Harry Potter, I never read one of them, but turned down by publisher after publisher after publisher. And we can go on and on and on. My message today is what Steve says is real artists ship. I'm encouraging you to ship it. This is 2019. There are things that you have entered into this year wanting to do. For instance, let me give you a few of mine. I have been sitting on this idea. I've been sitting on 3 or 4 ideas. Let me just share one of them with you. I have been heavily involved in the work in the field of personal development, lifetime achievement, business achievement. And for the last 27 years now, I have had both my ups and downs because I've been willing to ship my ideas. I've been willing to ship my thoughts. This is pre-software days, obviously. I'm using Steve Jobs' quote today just from a software standpoint. And I've learned a few things. In fact, my man Marvon, who's watching this video right now, I'm going to have Marvon. Marvon and I have been running together since 1992. 1992. We've met with some walls. We've met with some hurdles, different careers. But boy, let me tell you, I have a mad respect for anybody who's willing to run after their dreams and meet with ridicule, meet with disappointment, meet with the feeling that I'm going to get it out there, even if it isn't perfect. Marvon, matter of fact, Marvon, I hate to call you out on my video like this, my man. I hope you don't mind. But I have so much respect for this guy because, look, you know, we both have scenarios where early relationships in our lives weren't perfect. We had children, we had breakups, but we still wanted to follow our business dreams. We still wanted to be great parents. We wanted to be great dads. And the commitment it takes to not know exactly what you're doing in those arenas, but to keep pushing through. And Marvon's just one example. I've got plenty of people. So I'm launching a podcast this year. I'm going to be bringing on all the people, as many people as I possibly can, who are willing to share their story about how they have shipped their ideas, how they have worked under this umbrella of building a life of constant and never-ending improvement. Building a life under this umbrella of constant and never-ending improvement. So much so that I've launched my new company, Can I 365. I'll tell you more about it later. Can I 365, because I just have been a big believer in this idea of constant and never-ending improvement. It doesn't mean that any one day this game is over. We're never ever going to be at the table of success and we don't have to do anything else. Constantly life is changing. Constantly things are changing. And so anyway, I don't want to dive off on that, but there's more to come. This idea of jumping on this little video system called Facebook Live is a challenge for me. I have tons of my schedule is tight, but I have to make myself a commitment to ship these ideas, because otherwise they get lost in my head and they don't get out into the world. And maybe if it helps one person, then that to me is what my calling is at this stage. And I could have been doing it 5 years ago, could have been doing it whenever Facebook Live came out. I certainly did start doing some of this back in 2007 when I first joined YouTube. But I'm making a commitment to myself to ship little small videos like this every single day. Ship some ideas every single day. Maybe they'll bless you. Maybe they'll touch you. Maybe you'll know someone who needs to hear it at this moment. Maybe you won't like it and you'll unlike my page, and that's okay. That's okay. I want to make sure that whatever I'm speaking, if it resonates with you, stick around. If it doesn't, it's okay. Hit the unlike button. You'll never have to hear from me again. That's the beauty of social media. My feelings won't be hurt. This idea that I want you to run away with today, though, is ship your ideas. I've got a new clothing line coming out this year. I'm not Damon John. Don't get it twisted. But I do have an angle that I'm going to take on this. And by the way, I'm a minimalist. You can see I wear simple shirts. I love wearing t-shirts. I got out of the corporate world, and I don't have to wear a suit. I'll wear one when I have to, but I don't have to. I'm not that guy. I'm not Steve Harvey. I love Steve Harvey's suits, but I'm not Steve. I don't have to wear all these fancy suits. I love simplicity. I don't wear no fancy watches. I wear a Fitbit. I show up in a tuxedo with a Fitbit if I have to. My point is, I don't want to get on my essentialism conversation or my minimalist conversation. But the shirts and the style of clothes that I'm bringing out, very simple stuff. But they're purposeful. They're meaningful. And for those people that latch onto it, I'd love for you to follow that project. But I'll be making more announcements about that. But anyway, my message today, I want to wrap this up, let you get on with your day, is real artists ship. Not just a Steve Jobs quote, but that's what inspired this thought today. And that is, get your message out there, get your product out there, get your, last little phase is from a parent standpoint. I think about this idea of shipping, even when it comes to letting our kids get out and do their thing. We got to be willing to support their dreams. We got to be willing to let them to support their potential failure. Obviously, we want to keep them from the roadblocks and hurdles that we know are catastrophic. But let's not hold our kids back. Let's not hold our friends back. Let's not hold our loved ones back when they want to pursue a mission. One thing I must say, and I don't know that she's watching, but she knows, and it's one of the most important things I love about the relationship, the woman who has supported me in my life. And in the last 8 years, she has literally done nothing but allowed me, and in all of my craziness as an entrepreneur, And she is 100% not. She's 100% corporate, corporate operational person. Everything ducks in a row, lined up. And in my world, everything is never lined up. Let me be clear about that. And what's interesting about this is she allows me to go ship my ideas. She gives me the bandwidth. She's not trying to hold me back. She's not ever saying, no, don't do that. No, what about this? And what about, no, none of that. We have to be supportive of our spouses, our friends, our family members, our children, our colleagues, our supervisors who are trying to make changes in our workplaces for the better. Because what can always happen look, the world has catastrophes. Let's not understate that. But in most cases, we shouldn't live from the worst case scenario thinking, because we can almost always come back and iterate what we put out, what we put out in the market. We can iterate that first version, that second version, just like your iPhone, just like your smart device, whatever it is you're carrying. Everything can be iterated in most cases. Get your message out there. Real artists ship. Whatever it is you're working on this year, ship it. If you're trying to work on a weight loss goal, do the workout. That's a form of shipping it. If you're trying to improve your diet, add one new food to your diet that's going to be good for your body and take one out. That's shipping it. We can go on and on and on. My message to you today is ship it. Take those small steps every single day. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.